All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look here at Luna. And just before we do, we always look at Bitcoin first, get a quick baseline of the market so we know what's going on. Thank you for joining me here today, of course. I'm CryptoCache. I want to thank you very much to Patricia for requesting that I cover this here. She is one of my patrons. She is part of my community. I have a trading community. Link in the description below. Check that out. See if you might want to consider joining. Really awesome experience. I share all my trades with my community members, and we have a trading bots. Really, really cool. All right, check that out in your own time. Now, let's take a look here at Bitcoin first. Bitcoin is behaving nicely. Okay, for lack of better terms, it's definitely doing well. We are staying above the support level of 53,800. That is the current support. There is a secondary support at 52,006. Major resistance at 56,000 even. It's gotten rejected twice. However, we are seeing is an ascending wedge pattern here forming just based on the natural progression of how the price is slowly moving up and respecting support. Bear in mind, tomorrow being a Monday / Tuesday as well, those are typically red days. So just bear that in mind. There's a chance we might see some consolidation going into the week, followed by another leg up to 56,000 plus. I'd really like to see 56,000 close above the resistance level here today. Basically just have that candlestick close over 56,000. That would kind of imply that that would be the new support, and we might see that essentially happen. But again, day is still young. We have maybe 8 to 10 hours left of trading in this cycle, so we'll see what happens next. But that is essentially Bitcoin. Obviously, we're well above both moving averages. Not much else to really note, except that we have just like this overall, it's more of a greed index than a fear index at this point, based on the simple fact that Bitcoin appears to be back on track. And October is notoriously a very, very good month. You look at 2013, 2017, October, we're looking at an average of 40 to 60% gains both of those years, right? And the 4-year cycle is absolutely a real thing. If you don't believe it, I'm sorry, but it happens. And we saw a red month in September, which is notoriously very common. We always see that, and we always see a nice green October. So keep that in mind. We're definitely on track for that. Moving on to Luna. Let's go ahead and take a look at the one-day chart here. And I think I have a resistance level here set up from the previous time that I reviewed this. It's been a little while. We can see the 50-day moving average is working as a support level potentially on the one-day chart, moving the price up, but of course it's a little ways away from that. But it is going to go ahead and kind of intersect with that support level soon, so just keep that in mind. There's a good chance that'll work as a potential support moving forward. Let's see here. We've also got a strong resistance at about 46.90, somewhere in that range. Let's go ahead and mark that. Yeah, 46.93 essentially. So make sure that you understand that is a strong resistance level. There's a secondary resistance at 43.41. So all in all, that's kind of what we're looking at there for now. There might be a support level here as well at $40.21. So we'll see how the price responds to that. It has already bounced one time. So if the price continues to reject, we might see it bounce off of that. So that's kind of the one-day chart. Looking at the RSI, I like where the RSI is at. Even though it is decreasing, right? It's slowly decreasing. It's still staying over 50. So keep this in mind. The RSI continues to come down, and this holds as a support. It could very well come back up or just do one of these. Generally speaking, the 50 on the RSI is one of the most commonly overlooked support and resistance levels. So just keep that in the forefront of your mind. That is a likelihood that will continue to hold the price up if it continues to come down. So what's cool about this line at 50 is very much concurrent with the line at $40 and what is it? $40 and we could just say round number $40, but $40.25 essentially. So 40.25 is almost synonymous with that 50 on the RSI. In other words, when you see this come down, you could very well see it bounce off support, which is essentially that same support level that the RSI is providing. We do have a divergence on the MACD, right? So keep this in mind. This basically implies that the bulls have lost control, the bears are taking control. So we should expect to see something to the downside here soon. In other words, we might see a continuation for the next 9 to 12 hours. We'll definitely take a look at shorter time frames to identify what the TD sequential is telling us. But generally speaking, we are in a downtrend right now, and that will hopefully bounce off support at 50 on their RSI. Let's take a look here. Just really quick, jump on that, right on that. Look, we're at a 7 out of 9 on TD sequential, right? So we've reached a state of exhaustion, or very, very close to a state of exhaustion, rather. In other words, we see here, we hit this 6, it retraced, came back down, hit a 7, reset, and we're down and another leg down, right? So we've got 2 legs down. With the second leg down, which will likely hold support here as well. So I really confidently feel that $40, just say $40 even, is a pretty strong support, okay? And the reason why I feel that is because we should only see another couple of, I would say 8 more hours, right? Basically 2 more 4-hour candlesticks close above support. Okay, so it's a strong chance we're going to see a turnaround here soon. That's my guess, just based on the charts alone. Moving on to the moving averages, right? We lost the 50 as a simple moving average. That's basically it's going to basically be a resistance now. Keep in mind the 50 on 50-day simple moving average on the 4-hour chart is a very effective resistance and support level. So just bear that in mind. In other words, it could come back here, and when you see the price come up, it'll have to break through both these resistances, right? The 50 as well as 43.32. Okay. So again, we're not out of the woodwork yet for Luna, but I do feel like we have a nice, strong enough support here to potentially hold if it were to continue to progress down. Now, keep this in mind. If Bitcoin sells off tomorrow or Tuesday, which is why we look at Bitcoin first, right? If that happens, Luna will retrace. Okay, just keep that in mind. But also bear in mind, too, that Luna's having difficulty surpassing $48.25. So we'll mark that as well. I know it seems kind of busy here with all the support and resistance levels, but it's important to respect these based on the fact that the one-day chart tells us that $47 approximately is a major resistance level. However, the 4-hour chart is basically telling us as well 48.35 is a secondary resistance. Therefore, those two things are going to kind of hold us down. That is going to be basically a resistance channel that we got to respect. So I would say that we will likely see a breakout to the upside after the price bounces off support, continues to the upside when Bitcoin is trending past 56,000. Without 56,000 breaking for Bitcoin, Luna will not break it as well. And keep that in mind. That's the reason why we look at that first, right? Because look at these two here, these correlations. Bitcoin keeps rejecting at 56,000, right? Almost exactly concurrent with the fact that Luna keeps rejecting at 48.31. Okay. So that being said, when Bitcoin breaks 56,000, I feel as if Luna will break as well. At least it'll have more propensity to do so based on the simple fact that it's getting held back by that resistance level that is created by Bitcoin, if that makes sense. Okay. So again, even though Luna does move fairly independent of Bitcoin, it's also very reliant on it too. You'll notice that there's a correlation between every coin and Bitcoin. There's no other way around it. So the sooner you can get on board with understanding how Bitcoin is moving, the better off you're going to be. Okay, so just a recommendation I always provide to my patrons, my trading community. We know that Bitcoin kind of controls everything. That's why I day trade Bitcoin and swing trade altcoins. There's a reason for that, because day trading altcoins can be, it can be lucrative, but it can also be more risky. I think day trading Bitcoin makes more sense because if you understand that and you intricately know how Bitcoin's performing, coins like these make more sense. Let's quickly just identify on the 1-hour chart if there is anything else we can note. See where we're at. So we're into the cloud on the Ishimoku on the 1-hour chart. So if you're new to the channel, just generally speaking, when the price is below the cloud, it's considered a resistance, or you want to basically sell. And when it's above, it's a support, and essentially works as a buy signal, right? So if we look back here just at the history, right? It's really easy to identify, I know, but say you take an entry here or here or here. Right, you see how it bounces off the support level here of the Ishimoku cloud? But when it first broke up, you could have got a pretty significant increase. Had you taken entry right there to the highest point, that would have been roughly a 30 to 35% increase. Again, I know hindsight's 2020. Looking at it, it's like, oh yeah, perfectly, makes sense. However, when it comes below, it stays below for the most part, right? It broke down, it came down, and stayed down, right? Broke above, stayed up for a little while, just kept getting rejected by 56,000 on Bitcoin. So we look here and we see the price. If it comes down, bounces off here, and then it breaks above the cloud, which will kind of progress here. When it breaks above the cloud right here, coincidentally, right exactly at the support / resistance level of $43 and roughly 35 cents, then we'll see a break to the upside. Okay. So that would be an excellent time in which you want to consider taking entry. So I would, set your indicators, set your alerts for when the price breaks above the cloud. In fact, we can do that now. I can show you kind of how that works. What we do is we choose crossing up, Ishimoku, lead 1, because lead 1 is the top line on the cloud. So now that I've created that, I'll get an alert as soon as the price breaks above the cloud. That'll be a good consideration for an entry point. Okay, something to consider. All right. So hope you found benefit. If you did, great. Like and subscribe. If you haven't already, feel free to get the bell notifications. I send out multiple videos per day, and obviously a lot of signals too in my trading community. Check that out, link in the description below if you're interested in becoming a member. Really awesome group of folks. You're going to learn a lot, and you're going to have a good amount of support too, because I'm in there full time all the time. Looking forward to getting to know you better. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks again, Patricia, for the recommendation. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thank you.